Just gonna we'll get going. Oops.
Let's go. Come on in, let's go. Ralph.
Okay, we are ready for the NBA. Hope everybody is taking a deep breath and ready for a season of late swaps and injury news and late scratches and rumors and innuendo and revenge on the road and all of that good stuff. It's nice that they start you off with a little two-gamer to flex your muscles a little bit, which is good. Also, you get your first shot at multi-position eligibility on FanDuel, which is something I haven't had. I don't know if they had this before, but but since I've been playing, there's not been multi-position eligibility on FanDuel. So this is going to be the first time that we're going to take our chances with that. And there's Bobby. If I'm not mistaken, now I'm going to speak out of turn here, but I did see the first inning the Dodgers were doing well. Is that holding right now?
Gavin Lux just made a horrible error in center field that was somehow ruled a double, and now it's not looking great at the moment.
It was 2-0 when I checked. Let's see.
It's 2-0, but it's not going to be for long.
2-0, but threatening. Okay. There's one out.
Pretty awful.
We can give up a sac fly. We could do that.
Wow, it should be. I mean, it was a routine fly ball that he just dropped it.
Really?
Yeah, pretty brutal. Anyway, all right. But yeah,
let me ask you: Was Jock Peterson always such like a weird looking dude when he was on the Dodgers?
Yeah, but he didn't have the pearl necklace.
He's impossible.
The pearl necklace thing. What happened?
He just singled the guy in like it was his job. They held the other guy up at third though, so it's still only 2-1.
This is awful. What's up, Adam? How you doing, man? Yeah, let's do the NBA grind. This is the game that looked like. Not only that, Cheats, there was 2-0 in the first, and Morton walked 4 guys. They left the bases loaded again in the first inning. This game should be in a much different space here than it is right now, which is making me nervous because that's the same thing that happened in games 1 and 2.
Okay, so we have about a half an hour.
Yeah.
And what I want to do again, I'm not going to do this every slate, but again, this is going to be typically the schedule. You know, we're going to give ourselves and all you guys a full half hour after we go live to straighten out your lineups, and we're going to give you a half hour. It's usually after the injury news come out, so the projections and ownerships and all that have been updated. So I think this is a good little sweet spot as far as timing to do this. And you guys, if you do want to go to some of the other shows, the last minute live before lock, we'll let you go. We'll let you go, so you can go do that. So the other thing is that again, I was saying before you got here, Bobby, the one big change again, multi-position eligibility on FanDuel. But go to our normal content, like our normal videos during the day for that. We really want to reserve this for that last minute, just kind of review of what we're doing and what we like on the slate, for people that haven't had a chance to look at the early stuff and all that stuff. So on a quick little 2-game slate, I guess my first question, to you, Bobby, is how much Jordan Poole are you playing?
Oh, Jesus. Oh, a lot. Hard to fade him for me on this slate.
Yeah, I have 80 of him on DraftKings, and pretty close to that on FanDuel as well. Um, and again, it's fine. I mean, you can do that. Uh, Keep in mind, remember, with 2-game NBA slates, very tough to get different anyway. But I have to say that, I mean, we've done pretty well in these things. And the only thing you really need is maybe one or two just kind of like hoodoos, And I'm doing this to answer one of the questions in the Discord. Someone was asking, what type of ownership, like sum of ownership, is a lineup that can actually do something. I don't want to answer that directly because whenever you set ownership caps and things like that, I think you're walking down a bad path. Because first of all, one could argue that you should be multiplying them instead of adding them anyway. And second of all, like if you have like all like say, I don't know, if you have one guy that's like 0.01%, which has no chance, it's going to look like a low owned thing or whatever. But you don't need to do it that way either. It just really depends on where you're getting your leverage, where you're pivoting and things like that. So I wouldn't say, I'm not dodging the question, but I don't think you could say that a 200% total ownership lineup does not have a chance. It really depends on how those ownerships kind of stack together. Because sometimes individual plays can be owned a certain amount, but combinations of plays can be owned a different amount. So I don't want to say that, that a total sum of ownership can't get there. So like, for example, on a night like tonight, I think you can get there playing Poole. I think you can get there playing Nwora, but I don't think that you're going to be particularly unique, especially on a 2-game slate, without doing at least something which is a little bit different.
Yep, I agree with all of that.
So the other thing I would remind everybody, I'm going to be doing this till I'm nauseous from it. And I'm going to do this literally every piece of content. Make sure that you consider late swaps. It's not going to be as important tonight with only 2 games, but make sure you consider after your first sets of games are gone, where you're standing, what you might need to do, if anything, to change things. Sometimes it's nothing, sometimes it's everything's, but it's always something that's got to be considered. And only if I keep saying this to myself might I remember to do it myself. So I'm doing this completely for selfish reasons, and hopefully you guys can get a piece of that. How much Giannis are you playing tonight?
Not very much on DraftKings, which is weird, but I'm taking a different angle a little bit, playing more Middleton and Holiday, and not necessarily together. I really like Curry, Anthony Davis, and one of LeBron or Harden as my spend ups. So that's what I'm doing. And then I also want to mix in Westbrook too. So that's why I don't have quite as much of it maybe as, I don't want to say should, but I could have, I guess.
Yeah, I have almost 100 of him on DraftKings. I went the opposite route. I'm much more chalky than you, I think, tonight.
Of Giannis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm looking at the projected ownerships, though. They don't make a lot of sense to me because I don't think people can play. I don't think that, like, you can't have all these guys be 50% owned. There's just not enough value on the slate. So what I'm looking at just doesn't seem to make sense to me. What other pieces are people really going to use that much? A guy we thought was going to be lower owned earlier in the day is now showing up as going to be pretty chalky in Carmelo. I personally am siding heavily with Bazemore tonight. I think this is a great matchup style for him, and he's going to have an opportunity, which is good enough for me. So that's where I'm at with. I also think that the both games, obviously can be very high scoring games, but I want to try to correlate the way I can the best. And most of my lineups start with one of James Harden or Durant, and then Anthony Davis and Curry. Partly it's for ownership reasons. I don't know. I think Anthony Davis is being, I don't want to say overlooked, but I think he's a better play than these other guys are. I think he's going to have an absolutely monster game and a monster season. And he is currently the one I think who's being left out. Let me just double check his ownership real quick.
I got this one.
Yeah, he's like 15%. I've got him like 90% on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, I got this one. So one of the things you can do, by the way, and this is kind of like going to be promoting the sheets or whatever it is that one way if you want to hand build or even just get a sense for where you're supposed to pivot. Like here's my list of all my projections and the ownerships and all this stuff. And even eyeballing this, what I like to do is just go down, okay, like who in the top like kind of cluster is just like pronouncedly less owned than the others. And the guy you mentioned is just the one that just totally stands out. Like Anthony Davis at 16% among this whole group of people. And yeah, he's not quite as great of a player as these others, but whatever. He's still a good play. So him at 16%. Another guy who I would consider as a good pivot would be LeBron at 27%. Another guy who I consider a really good pivot, this is DraftKings, is Draymond at 16%. Guy we don't like to play too much, but Wiggins at 22%. Now again, on a 2-game slate, these are kind of low owned. And I think that you're onto it with the Anthony Davis play. You know, it combines a good kind of projection based play. In other words, he's decent enough in projections as a function of his ownership, coupled with your kind of basketball knowledge, right? That goes on top of that. So I think that's actually a really strong play. I have who I think is good. I think he would have to be a little higher on. I only have 28% ownership projected on Kevin Durant. I would have to think that'd be over. It would be over that, but we'll see. Maybe like you said, maybe it's so hard to play like 3 studs, for example. But you know what people are going to do? I mean, people are going to do it. They're going to play Poole and they're going to play Nwora, right? And then they could play Grayson Allen as a third one or Bruce Brown, and then they could jam in 3 studs.
Right.
So I guess that's why these guys are all going to be 50%.
Right. So what I would encourage people to do is to mix in some guys who aren't going to project as well, like Bjelica. If he gets hot, there's a guy who could do something for you. Damian Lee, who I mentioned earlier. I think Damian Lee is like, if you're not playing Jordan Poole, you probably want Damian Lee in that lineup. And I think he's going to be very, very low owned. It's one of those things, you play the heat check thing. There's no reason if Poole gets 2 quick fouls, you could see Damian Lee playing in the backcourt with Curry for the majority of the half. And if he's hot, maybe the majority of the game.
I also like to say, specific to a 2-game slate, there aren't that many 2-game slates, but there are a couple. Remember, the theory is still the same with respect to different sports. Like the smaller amount of games there are, the less you have to worry about correlation, the less you have to worry about one guy taking away from another player and stuff like that. Like on a slate like this, I mean, you could play like Harden and Durant together, for example. All right. You could play LeBron, AD. You could play all 3 of them. You could play Westbrook, LeBron, and AD. You know what I mean? If you want to, because it's only 2 games. Once you would get up to like, say, 10, 12 game slates, then you have to start thinking about, can all 3 of them really get their ceilings? But you don't really need all 3 to everybody get their ceiling together, because there are only so many players you can choose from today.
Right. That's true. The only part about that makes it a little bit trickier is that you have such other good studs in the same price range tonight.
That's true.
So that's the only, I guess, warning I would have on that one at all. And it's hard to know what the Nets are going to do with their lineup. I mean, there's a chance you might see Bembry, who's projected to play about 10 minutes, play 15 to 25 minutes. There's a chance you might see LaMarcus Aldridge play 24 minutes, 22 minutes. Blake Griffin could play 24 minutes instead of 20. I mean, these are big differences for these guys. There's a chance Nicholas Claxton, they don't like what's happening with the front line, and all of a sudden Nicholas Claxton time. So I'm moving these guys in and out as according to the ownerships of my other players who I'm paying up for. Anthony Davis being the lowest owned, and that's why I'm going to have a ton of them. Oh, Jesus.
The Dodgers are finished.
They're not going to get out of here.
Well, it's 4-2. They just took Bueller out, bases loaded. I mean, I don't know. It's rough game. I just saw the Lux play, by the way.
Also rough because I was in first place of the other one because I played the unowned Corey Seager, who's unowned for some reason. I played Mookie. I had no Morton, and I had the other one. So it would have been nice to win the 4-4.
I was fortunate enough to forget that there was baseball today because I would have probably played 100% Bueller today.
Yeah, I mean he was 85% owned, so I don't think it's gonna hurt that much.
Okay.
Also, I hope they should change that to an air, and this inning would have been over. It's just really frustrating.
Yeah. What kind of nonsense you playing tonight? You playing any nonsense tonight? Like you playing any of the Sam guy or anybody like that? I don't really have too much crap in my lineups tonight.
I don't even think he's playing. I have some Bembry. I have a very little bit, but I've got a little bit of Bembry. I've got a good amount of Damian Lee, or I'm trying to make myself get a good amount of Damian Lee, I should say. that's sort of the route that I'm going with that. And I, other nonsense guys, I'm looking at my ownerships. I don't think there's a whole
You
bunch.
got any
Oh,
like, do you have any DeAndre Jordan?
a little bit, but not much. I have a little bit of Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
Millsap is not nonsense. Melo is not nonsense. Those guys
Yeah.
are more legit. But I'm very heavy on Bazemore, so I'm not needing to go to the other guys. I am going to play some of the Bjelica though.
Okay, that's a good. See, that's a good one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he could, and you get the right game script where they put, like you mentioned this earlier, not game script, more of a strategy script where you mentioned this earlier that they want to go to the route where they want to stretch the other team out, and put him in as like a stretch five. I think he's been doing that for what 8 years,
Right.
on different teams. So if they go that route, what do you make of what do you make of LaMarcus Aldridge?
Okay. The thing is, I would rather take a shot on the upside of potentially Claxton matching up.
Okay.
I think it's a longer shot, but you're going to get one guy at 3% owned and the other guy at 20-something% owned or 20-ish% owned.
Hey, did I hear somewhere? I'm literally just asking you if I heard somewhere something about a minutes limit for some of these Warriors or no?
I've heard rumors of it. I didn't see the official word on it.
Okay.
I'm not as interested in Draymond tonight, so it's not affecting me that much.
Okay.
And that was really who we'd be concerned about, right?
Yes.
So I'm not as concerned about it personally.
See, aren't you glad what I did to you? I said the Dodgers are finished, and then the guy got him out of the inning. See?
They're not finished. They're down 2 runs.
That's what I meant. That's what I'm. See, I reverse cursed. It's perfect.
Oh, this Dodger thing is going to make me live. This is rough.
What is it? What is it? 1-1 there, or is it 2-0?
2-0. They should have won both of the first games too. They really should have too. I'm not just saying that as a Dodger fan. They absolutely should have won both of the first 2 games. Anyway,
how much Bruce Brown do you have?
Like 15%. I'm mixing him in with the other guys. I do have more Bazemore at the moment. But I think I could probably up that to 25% by the time I actually get settled.
One guy that I don't have much of any of, which is really annoying because I really identified him early on as a good play, is Otto Porter.
Yeah, I'm making sure to squeeze him into a few, but
Okay.
I don't think I would have had much of him had I not done that.
Okay. Let me go specifically over to FanDuel and see what I got over there. Let me just see. Well, actually, you know what I want to do? Let me go to my main. I got all kinds of weird centers over there. I do have Dwight Howard over there, Brooke Lopez. I do have Draymond, Looney. I guess that's all there are over there, right?
I have Anthony Davis as my center, so I don't know.
Oh, you have him as center?
Well, see, that's one of the ways I think you can get an advantage, and we talked about this. We've talked about this in the past on our shows, that you can get an advantage by playing a guy like a Davis here, because you can win the position by so much more. Next is Draymond Green, so I'm going to paying up actually makes almost more sense to play up for Anthony Davis on FanDuel, even though price wise he's closer, he's more expensive than Steph on FanDuel, which is kind of crazy, but I think you can get some more upside there. And also you always have the shot blocking upside for a team that's going to attack a lot. So I actually think that there's a lot of good reasons to play Davis tonight.
Yeah, here's a note from like just 45 minutes ago. It says Draymond Green on a minutes limit in Warriors opener. He'll be on a minutes restriction because he missed part of the preseason per head coach Stephen Kerr. He sat out. He believed to be healthy. He didn't say what the minutes limit would be, but he would start. And then it says Andrew Wiggins will also be limited due to some nicks and bruises. And then it says, which is very relevant, Bjelica could see some extra minutes on Tuesday night with Green limited.
Yeah, I like that. That's partly why I like the Bjelica and speculation. There's a bunch of reasons it could work, but I do like that call about Bjelica there. And I'm looking at FanDuel. I mean, talking about, like, we can go through positions real quick because I think that's really how you play on FanDuel. But again, I'm finding myself with Damian Lee as my shooting guard over there. I'm finding, and then I am playing more. Porter seems to make a little more sense at power forward over here. on FanDuel, but he's also going to be much more owned. And then you'll get more ownership on Davis because of what I said, but I still think that's the savvy way to go. It's either Davis or Millsap as their center. But if you play Davis without Millsap, I think that's you know what I'm saying, like without another center eligible player.
I have another guy, Kendrick Nunn.
Yeah, there's definitely potential. I don't know how they're, you know, it's still, I think they don't know how they're going to run their systems. He's a little banged up as well.
Right.
So I'm not finding myself with a ton of Kendrick Nunn, but I certainly don't mind if you want to take a stab at it. It would be a stab though. That's the way I look at it. And there's always a chance, by the way, you won't find out this till probably after the first game locks, but if Nunn isn't to go, you might get a little bit more Rajon Rondo. I still think everything slides more towards, you know, Bazemore playing more minutes possibly, but you can get a little bit of these other Laker pieces. Carmelo, it opens up everything for the, you know, side pieces, because including Malik Monk, by the way, who's another one who maybe you'd want to get into a lineup or two.
What do you think about guys on minutes limits in general? Like would you this is like a really big slate. I would probably just X out Draymond on that news.
Yeah, I think it's okay on this slate, but I again, not at the ownership, I'd rather just try to fade it.
Right.
That's where I'm at. Taking a quick look into chat, see what's up there. Those blocks set up, yeah, AD. Malik Monk can get hot, absolutely. I think Malik Monk is in the same conversation. Damian Lee is probably going to have more of an opportunity to start off than Malik Monk will. So I'm giving a little edge to him over Monk, but I definitely don't mind if you want to go with the Monk play. I'm totally okay with that.
I also, just so you guys know, I am playing Yahoo tonight, just because, I mean, it's a big overlay over there. I'm not going to play it all too often, so I'm not going to be putting up projections for Yahoo. But what you could do sometimes, by the way, if you really want to play there, you could just, I mean, if you want to really cheat, you can just upload the same projections, either DraftKings or FanDuel, to a Yahoo optimizer. It's not that much of a difference.
Yeah, I agree. Man, I do have a hell of a lot of Jordan Poole, and it feels like it could be a interesting fade if you wanted to go that route. I don't know. Damian Lee, it's to Bruce Brown. I have a lot more Bruce Brown than I actually thought I did, so I actually like that, though. I feel good about Bruce Brown. I feel like they found something there with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's had different levels of success as cheap chalk.
Yeah, I mean, I like Patty Mills also, which may cut into some Bruce Brown stuff, but they played Bruce Brown like at the 5, like in the same series last year. You know what I mean? As the rolling 5, sort of the way that they used to use Westbrook. But yeah, I think it's interesting.
You have any opinions on the games?
I think the Lakers and the Bucks win.
Okay.
Did I miss something? I got to double check. Let me get Connaughton's price again one more time on FanDuel. Yeah, Connaughton is a really strong play, I think, on FanDuel. I don't think he's as great a play on DraftKings, but he's going to be very low owned on DraftKings. Sorry, I'm just fixing through my lineups here.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of Draymond. I'll go take a stand somewhere.
What do you have with Westbrook on DraftKings, did you say?
I don't have much of anything with Westbrook.
Yeah.
I honestly don't have much of that last game.
I could see it going one way or another with the Westbrook thing, personally.
Yeah.
I really could. Like, it's very hard to see him being on the court for a significant, and it is like the whole offseason, all anybody's talked about, it's like his homecoming. You know what I mean?
Right.
If they're up big, I would expect him to be one of the last guys to be on the court, actually, for them, you know, of the big three. And that's, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's certainly in the range of outcomes.
And, you know, it's so funny. There's a lot of times where we didn't know how Westbrook was going to acclimate in certain situations, and he ended up doing just fine, you know, like.
Yeah.
And same with LeBron. Like they say, like, oh, how's LeBron going to live with this situation, this situation? LeBron's like the greatest basketball, you know, player, and like knowing where his other teammates are basically of all time. So So he'll figure out where he's got to be.
Yeah, totally. A question about Toscano Anderson. So I think Toscano Anderson fits the sort of a similar mold as Bielica without being as good of a shooter. So maybe maybe you can get to some JTA. Like I think that there's definitely some upside for him, but I think that I prefer Bielica, and they're the same price on DraftKings. On FanDuel, Juan Toscano Anderson is. Let me just double check the price. I got the price right here. Oops, I had the wrong thing here set up. Hold on one second. Yeah, at 4,400, it's harder for me to see him there. But I think you can take a shot. Bielica will probably play a lot more minutes than Toscano Anderson. But there's always they could always do something different if they're having trouble defensively or something, and something like that. I just think I prefer Bielica over him as a lower owned play.
I think I might force in some Bielica.
Yeah. The question about Poole and Lee and lineups together. Yeah, that's fine. It's not ideal, is what I would say. I would probably have those be my Bruce Brown ones. I might end up with one or two of things like that because I'm playing a lot of each of them. But I would probably lean a little bit more towards Bruce Brown over Lee in those lineups. But again, you want to get the low ownership, so I see it's kind of hard to do. Poole is a really tough guy. I'm having a hard time fading him unless I'm playing Lee. So I'm sort of looking at it like that.
See what Bielica lineups would look like. Maybe I just won't play Bielica.
Durant, don't need that. Don't need that.
I'm not gonna. It's hard for me to get to any of him.
To Bielica?
Yeah.
Nobody said anything about Kevon Looney yet.
I have some of him.
Yeah, I think that's the other place you can go to. I don't know why. I think his projection. There's a chance his projection is significantly too low.
Who?
Kevon Looney, because he actually can match up with the Davis if he has to, or he can match up with the bigs a little better than most of the rest of their roster. Not all of it, but most of it.
I've got 50% of him on FanDuel.
There you go.
So there's that.
Yeah, there you go.
But you definitely have two good basketball games. That's good.
Yeah, great start.
Oh, I spoke too soon. Oh, okay. So that's because his price is. I do have a full 50% of Otto Porter on FanDuel.
Okay, that's good to know.
He's 4,400 only over there.
For Porter, yeah. He's much more in play on over there. You could play he or Porter; they're similar-ish plays. Triple J asked if I'm playing Durant or Harden in every lineup. I am basically. I'm basically playing one of Durant or Harden in every lineup, and very few with the both of them together.
Oh, you know what I got, by the way? Look at this. To answer your question, I do have Westbrook in like 33% of lineups on FanDuel.
Oh, okay.
This is actually kind of cool. So this is weird. So because of multi-position eligibility, like if you look at my screen here, like the way they list the players, it lists like point guard, shooting guard, point guard, because that's, you know what I mean? Because these guys are all multi-position eligible.
Right.
I'm just used to it being point guard, shooting guard. So they basically tell you where you slotted them in, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a little strange.
That is a little weird.
All right, let me see. Any questions here? Toscano Anderson. Got to run. Good luck, Adam. No problem. Yeah, Malik Monk can always get hot.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
Absolutely. He may not. I mean, he's also questionable too. He's probably going to play all these guys, but we don't know for sure. So just keep that stuff in mind. Make sure you're looking at your late swaps, and nobody can tell you for sure right now exactly who's playing and who isn't.
Right.
We've seen it even on opening day. It's bitten us before.
Yep.
Harden.
All right.
All right. I think that we're let's see, we're pretty much out of there. Hopefully the Dodgers can make a little run back because this is really frustrating.
Dude, it's only 2 runs and we got bullpens where we'll be fine.
Okay.
You have some swipes at it, that's for sure.
What's that?
You have some good swipes at it, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, great to have the NBA back. We have the real full slate tomorrow. I like Holiday, to answer your question, Zach. I definitely like Holiday. So to answer that one. And,
all right, we got a big, as the kids, we have a big ass slate tomorrow. So So get ready for that. And good luck. Let's get off to a good start today.
All right. Good luck, everybody. Let's crush it.
Later.
Flex sheets.